This is Donny Vermillion. We've got a breaking story for you.
Rebel Jim Raynor has reappeared in a big way. Seeing heavy losses.
Casualties in the billions.
Raynor ups his campaign of terror just as the Zerg reappear. Coincidence? You decide after these messages.
What is wrong with that woman? Tell her not to interrupt my interviews!
Breaking news, it's Donny time.
Hi, why not do a more important character like Zagar or Raynor?
Silence, heretic! Donny is important. He's perhaps the most vital character to Wings of Liberty. Not so much in the other campaigns, but that's only because his sheer presence would overshadow every other character. Yes, even Abathur and Alarak. Don't believe me? Let's take a walk down memory lane as we cover the greatest reporter of all time. The Universal News Network is the main media outlet for the Terran Dominion. Originally the propaganda arm of the Terran Confederacy, it switched allegiances after the fall of Tarsonis. Its primary aim is to portray whoever's in charge of humanity in the best possible light, while spreading misinformation about opponents and suppressing dissent against the current regime.
James Raynor, have you no conscience? Shouldn't you fall in line, putting your petty complaints aside as we struggle for humanity's very survival against this alien menace?
Everyone's a critic.
From grandiose speeches to biased broadcasts, propaganda has long persisted throughout the series.
The Overmind itself, an enormous living brain-like entity, dictates control of all the myriad Zerg forces, and it was believed to be planning an invasion of the Earth itself.
Scenes like this take heavy inspiration from Starship Troopers. In the grim dark future of
the 26th century,
the rise of authoritarianism and suppression of free speech are a must-have. While news stations like the UNN and the Earth-based UEN have notable appearances in the original games, it isn't until Wings of Liberty that media takes center stage. Well, mostly in Wings. Aliens don't have news stations. As we start the game, we're greeted to an interview of Emperor Mengsk addressing concerns about a renewed Zerg threat, as well as his overt focus on Raynor. From the beginning, the media is against poor Jimmy, and nowhere is that exemplified more than with Donny Vermillion. A firm supporter of the Mengsk regime, Donny will do anything and everything to ensure the people view his glorious leader as an unassailable genius, incapable of failure.
Kate, I bet the locals are pretty nervous about having a notorious outlaw in their neighborhood.
Actually, Donny, the people I talked to seemed really encouraged by the...
Silly Kate. Reality is for heretics. Honestly, with the amount of time she tries to question the Dominion government, I'm surprised she hasn't gone on paid administrative sick leave. But it makes the newscasts funnier.
General, Kate Lockwell here. I've heard rumblings about some sort of logistics trouble with the Odin's debut.
Now, Kate...
It's true, Kate. The Odin was delayed in shipping.
What is wrong with that woman? Tell her not to interrupt my interviews!
As for Donny, his only purpose in life is to make Daddy Mengsk look good. Raynor frees the locals from Dominion oppression.
Jim Raynor, killing women and children on Marsara.
Colonists try to secede from the Dominion after being abandoned to the Zerg.
Ungrateful rebels digging in their heels across the fringe worlds.
Political prisoners being freed from New Folsom.
Jim Raynor, making our world just a little more dangerous tonight.
It perfectly showcases the uphill battle that we, the player, must fight throughout the game. Not only must we contend with 2 galactic powers and the Tal'Darim, we must also wage a war of perception. Our actions are repeatedly downplayed and silenced, and our ragtag group of rebels must fight for our voices to be heard. Though the media will never be on Jim's side, the people he helps know the truth. Though the Dominion's propaganda machine initially seems over the top.
I'm not allowed to say much, but I can tell you that his allies will not. We expect them very soon.
One only needs to look at mainstream news outlets to recognize many of the same tactics employed by the Dawn. Fear-mongering, straw-manning, loud noises, all to showcase what's really important. Not the truth, mind you, but what we perceive the truth to be. As with any media outlet, UNN covers a wide breadth of topics including refugee crises, history, and war. Early on in the game, the Zerg swarm launches a massive bender through Terran space, eating worlds, eating people, and trying but failing to eat magic rocks. Yet despite the many setbacks suffered by the Dominion military, Donny Vermillion remains steadfast in portraying the situation as under control.
The Terran Dominion is holding firm under Zerg aggression. Our industrial complex has stepped up production on all fronts. Enlistment rates have risen within the penal system, and the Marine Corps is ready to get in the fight. The Zerg won't know what hit them.
Donny, has there been any word on when we start pushing the aliens back?
Shut it, Kate. There's no time to acknowledge Mengsk's defeats. No siree. The only thing that matters is that the Dominion will prevail. Somehow. Amidst the grimdark future of the 26th century, Donny and the UNN broadcasts provide not only a nice bit of levity, but also a wider view of the galaxy as a whole. As a small rebel group, we don't get many opportunities to see the big picture, so the solution is to plop in the UNN for a nice sneak peek in between missions. No shame that alien campaigns don't get that luxury. Imagine a Zerg political debate. No mainstream news outlet would be complete without conspiracy.
You think the Zerg watch our broadcast?
I know they do, Kate. I know they do.
Donny entertains a nice variety of claims throughout the game. Project Shadowblade shut down by Dominion agents.
Dominion Security, destroying the shadowy espionage arm of Jim Raynor's terrorist organization.
The Zerg invading right after Raynor restarts his rebellion.
No, he orchestrated it.
Zerglings allergic to lemon juice? Wait, that one might be true.
Must solve Zergling lemon juice allergy. Weakness in strain.
If no one knows what the truth is, no one can call out your lies.
Okay, Pi, the joke's gotten old now. Donny Vermillion, crazy reporter, goes, haha, Raynor bad. That's it.
Or is it? What most people tend to forget is that Donny actually has a bit of an arc during Wings of Liberty. Throughout the campaign, he's a constant tool of the Mengsk regime, twisting the narrative to favor the Dominion and shutting down all attempts to praise Raynor or criticize the government. Even an interview about the destruction of Tarsonis is meant to further convince the public that old RD is a man of the people and would never orchestrate the massacre of an entire planet.
Tolosky's film highlights the seeming convenience of the aliens annihilating a corrupt government that you yourself spent a lifetime trying to overthrow.
Millions died that day, and you speak to me of convenience?
Then, the facade breaks. When Raynor's raiders broadcast evidence that Mengsk ordered the use of psi emitters to lure the Zerg to Tarsonis, the image of a perfect emperor is forever shattered. And with it, the very foundations of this man's mind.
Donny, what's the situation where you are?
I had a brother on Tarsonis. I had a brother there.
Donny is a reflection of Terran society as a whole. As the Dominion descends into chaos, Donny's mind likewise descends into anarchy. Donny reveals to both Kate and the audience that he not only lost someone on Tarsonis, but that his devotion to Mengsk was seemingly genuine. He believed in Mengsk. In this moment, we see the realization that the beloved Emperor that Donald Vermillion spent his life defending is responsible for taking his own brother away from him. His work was completely and utterly pointless. We could have very easily had Donny remain a one-note biased reporter. In fact, according to the wiki, there's cut files of a robot Donny model. Because only a robot would ever drink the Kool-Aid, am I right? But I'm glad they kept Donny organic. They revealed that he wasn't intentionally malicious, just misguided and delusional. He's gullible. He's fallible. He's human. Donny continues to wrestle with the truth about Mengsk, going on sick leave and generally being more reluctant to cheer on the regime that killed his brother. Depending on when you play Media Blitz, certain news dialogue will be altered accordingly.
Well, many of the refugees are starting new colonies, and they've declared themselves independent of the Dominion.
Branding themselves as rebels. They have no faith in Emperor Mengsk's leadership.
Well, Donny, they mostly seem like regular folks who are scared about the current crisis, and angry that the Dominion didn't do more to save them. Some of them have praised Jim
Thanks for that, Kate. You heard it here first. Ungrateful rebels digging in their heels across the Fringe Worlds. Serious questions about Emperor Mengsk's leadership across the Fringe Worlds.
Donny's wavering, but he's not quite there yet. When you've spent so much time buying into an ideology, it's difficult to let go of it. Kind of like being in a cult. Part of you recognizes that what you were taught was wrong, but another part refuses to accept that. Mengsk was Donny's rock. No matter the situation, he knew he could always believe in the Emperor. But in the face of the truth, you can do nothing but crumble. By the invasion of Char, Mr. Vermillion takes a firm back seat to the very reporter he once suppressed. Kate takes the lead for the final newscasts, culminating in her announcing Donny's abrupt admission into a mental institution.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a sad day for us here at UNN. I regret to inform you that last night Donny Vermillion had himself committed to the Dominion Mental Health Center here on Core Hall. While the nature of his abrupt mental breakdown remains unknown, we do know that he was clad only in his socks and rumored to be in possession of Emperor Mengsk's manifesto and a pound of peanut butter. We wish you all the best, Donny, and hope for your speedy recovery. In the meantime, I'll be taking over as chief anchor here at UNN. For UNN, I'm Kate Lockwell. Woo! Yes! Woo!
Honestly, the only thing keeping Donny from complete perfection is that we don't see more of his breakdown.
But Pi, mental illness tends to be behind the scenes.
Don't you lecture me about mental illness. I've had my fair share of nervous breakdowns. I wanted to see him crack on live TV and see the dawn go am. I wanted to see the light leave his eyes.
I had a brother on Tarsonis. I had a brother there.
Donny returns in the co-op mission, the Vermillion Problem. The commander's got to collect a bunch of rocks to stop the planet from blowing up, while Donald spends his time criticizing the commanders and arguing with an unseen seismologist named Terry. Co-op isn't technically canon, but it's still worth mentioning. I'm of the camp that Terry is, in fact, not real and just another figment of Donny's broken mind. It's entirely possible that Donny isn't actually reporting for UNN and is just broadcasting by himself into the void, with the commanders merely intercepting his bizarre transmissions for intel. The proof? Donny's next canon appearance is in the comic series The Nature of the Beast. He's fallen from grace, reporting for his fringe pro-Mengsk show and lamenting how much of a joke he's become to his cat Augustus. After getting a tip about the planet Tartarus, not that Tartarus, he hops aboard a shuttle. The smuggler praises him for inspiring the man to shoot his CO when the guy told him to chill. Donny is flattered? The fun times continue as they detect Zerg on the planet, and satellites start shooting them up. The pilot tells Donny, "Get to the turrets," which is really just a ploy to put him in an escape pod. With a cheery goodbye, the smuggler sacrifices himself to get Donny to the surface. His arrival is noticed by Nova and Rigel, who argue over whether to help him. Nova isn't keen on helping a man whose propaganda cost lives, though, to be fair, shooting people also costs lives, Agent. Regardless, Donny starts recording the infestation, only to be interrupted by Dr. Evelyn Yu and her kid Chudnow. Evelyn starts interrogating him, only to be interrupted by a Hydra and a push from the Dawn. The Hydra lunges at Donny, only to be interrupted by death. It's Nova, and also Rigel. After a well-deserved punch, the good doctor reveals that the survivors of the Zerg attack hid in a Jorium refinery. After some argument, they hunker down for the night. The next day, Donny and the gang enter the refinery, only to discover it's a training ground. Nova tries getting answers from the doc, but our crusading reporter opens a door and runs into a queen. Well, it's just a queen. You could sneeze on it and it'd fall over. Anyway, with no way out, they head into a room to discover specters. Turns out, the Dominion was still making their steroid ghosts. I mean, Art of the Swarm confirmed that, but this double confirms it. The Zerg were supposed to be for training, but, well, they're Zerg, so of course they got loose. Ever the investigator, Donny interviews the doctor on their operations. Evidently, she wasn't able to activate them before the facility was overrun. Donny pushes to wake up the specters because he's still on that Mengsk Kool-Aid. Gotta grasp the sanity somehow. Donny gets his broadcast going, much to the kids' amusement. I like their friendship. Surely nothing bad will happen to him. Anyways, Nova wants to kill the specters because they're a threat. But Rigel says Duke okay, and believes he can use them for good. Sadly, the Nova and Rigel show gets cancelled when she shoots Donny's camera. Ma'am!
That camera cost a fortune.
After Donny notices the kid's infestation, the two connect over worrying about loved ones. Donny still grieves for his brother, who I'll call Johnny, while Chudnow is scared of leaving his mother alone when he dies. Thankfully, Donny gives the future zombie advice on staying calm by counting down to 2. Never 1. Surely, nothing bad will happen to him. The Don may be delusional, but he's not devoid of compassion. Against Nova's orders, Rigel wakes up the Spectres to do some good, but they turn on him because, obviously, Donny convinces them not to throw him to his death by offering to inform them about the changed galaxy. So they hijack the Griffin and head off. While the Doctor blows herself up to buy Nova time, the gang can only watch as the facility is overrun. Or is it?
Yes, the Protoss, let's go.
Unfortunately, these traitors survived being devoured due to the timely intervention of the vile Greyskins. Sadly, the rest of the story is mostly in text form, so I'll have to get creative here. Donny next appears as a captive aboard the Griffin. He spends his time repairing his camera and watching newscasts from his old colleague, Kate Lockwell. She covers the attacks by the Spectres against the Dominion, which begs the question, where the heck is Tosh? Anywho, Donny's salty since he cares more about the story than the people affected by it. Meanwhile, the 6 Spectres argue over what to do next. With Mengsk dead, their mission seems pointless. Why bother serving a corpse emperor? Spoken like a true heretic. Regardless, the gang is split on what to do. 1, 2, 4, and 6 are firmly ready to continue killing, while 3 and 5 are less eager. Donny still believes he can spin a story from the team, but no one's interested. However, 2 is interested in shutting him up if he gets out of line. It's clear that Donny's treatment by his fellow servants of Mengsk has shaken his devotion further. If this is where loyalty gets him, if these are the people who still serve his beloved emperor, is defending Mengsk's legacy still worth it? Was it ever? As Donny muses over what to do, he gets a thought. What if he just did the broadcast anyway? Imagine the glory, the ratings. And so he sets off to cover the heroic exploits of Mengsk's shadow specters. Donald, you sly dog, you've done it again. In truth, Nova and Vorazun planted the thought in his mind as a way to track down the Griffin. Before the Spectres can force another settlement to supply their gauze, they detect the Protoss trailing them. One realizes what happened and prepares to kill Donny, but suddenly, Chudnow. The Zergy boy jumps onto them, but is stabbed. I guess the healing factor hadn't kicked in yet, as he dies next to Donny minutes later. A brief light in Vermillion's life, extinguished by the very people who claim to serve his emperor. And who did Chudnow save with his sacrifice? A deluded, bitter little man, unwilling to change. Before Jun goes, he mounts Donny's countdown, stopping before he reaches 1. The reporter later makes a grave for him and his mother, together in death. In the meantime, Nova and the Dark Templar stop the Spectres and even convince them to join her. Rigel goes off to continue helping people, and Donny goes back to his apartment to continue his show. While he initially takes the same bombastic tone from before, something's changed. As he remembers his time with the Doctor and Chudnow, his focus shifts to the idea of redemption. Not clinging to the image of tyrants, but elevating the sacrifices of the little guy. While the past of the Dominion and Donny cannot be erased, they can still learn from it to build a better tomorrow. After asking for footage of heroes of the Dominion, he's proud to see Rigel rescuing captives once more. I quite enjoyed Nature of the Beast. Well, whenever it focused on Donny. It was a nice way to have him confront the remnants of the regime he once defended and realize that while one could learn from the old Dominion, its legacy wasn't worth protecting. And though he's no Jim Raynor, Donny finally got a taste of that rebel pie. He not only met people affected by the evils of the old government, but lost another loved one in his futile campaign to save Mengsk's image. Yet through these failings, there exists the possibility for him to grow. To rise beyond the sins of old and become greater is perhaps one of the biggest themes of Starcraft. Be it reforming a corrupt empire, leaving behind a corrupt mindlink, tearing a theocracy away from a dark god, or making Zerglings immune to lemon juice, change is an integral part of the series. Whether it's good change is debatable, but no one reflects that better than Donald Vermillion. Well, That's it for the GOAT. April's coming up, and I'm feeling in an extra silly mood, so I don't know, I'll throw some stuff at you and tell me what you think. Thanks to Gladys Marino, Happy Acrid, Michael Phillips, and Mike Pierce for your support. Time's a bit tough, I appreciate you though. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and
Tell her not to interrupt my interviews!